Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. This show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am so excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 110. I hope you guys enjoyed my latest episode, number 109, where I chatted all about why it's so important to bring awareness to your thoughts and how negativity might be controlling your life. For today's episode 110, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the top 10 things that are keeping you stuck / holding you back. This is one of my favorite topics because I'm sharing with you from my own experience, from things that I know that have kept me stuck, from things that have kept me, that have held me back from maximizing my potential and that were keeping me in the same cycle for years. And so, without further ado, let's dive into number 110. So you guys, I want you to think of a time in your life when maybe you surrounded yourself with people that just made you not feel the best. You felt like you couldn't be your true self, maybe. Like there was always something wrong. Something in your gut was just like, I don't love being around these people. Well, that is my first thing for you guys. My first reason that you might be staying stuck. And that is because we truly do become the people we surround ourselves with. We will only feel as good as the people around us can really make us feel to an extent. And yes, it comes from within. But if you're feeling super good by yourself and then you get around people and they dim your light's going to kind of start to go out eventually, especially if they're people you're around all the time. So the first thing that might be keeping you stuck is the people around you. It is your environment. That super famous quote, we are the sum of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. It could not be more true. This is something that I taught to the grade 8 students last week during my presentation was, I hope you guys recognize that we kind of become what we surround ourselves with. If we are constantly filling our brain with toxic TikToks, for example, or around friends that make us feel less than. If we are constantly filling our brain with things that reinforce negative bias of self and beliefs of self, we will start to form an identity around that. And so the first thing that's keeping you stuck is likely the people you're surrounding yourself with. I know this to be true because I used to hang around with people that, quite frankly, didn't want to see me win. They didn't like it when I won because for some reason they internalized that as them being less than. Versus my friend's doing really great, I'm going to be super happy for her. For some reason, I've never really understood that. I've always wanted people around me to shine as bright as they can. To me, that is the most beautiful thing, and that doesn't take away anything from me. If my friend beside me is winning, wouldn't that make me a good friend to support them? Wouldn't that make me a crummy friend to say, I don't really think you should do that? I've had people that blatantly have told me my podcast is kind of silly. That's not very nice because it's something that makes me happy and fills my cup. I've had people tell me that my business isn't that great. The stuff I make isn't that great. A good friend will not tell you those things. A good friend will give you proper criticism that will help you grow out of love, not try to hold you back for their own self-gratification, because that's typically what it is. It often comes from lack of belief and worth within self, so we can't give that to other people. And I hope that you listening can also kind of take away that if you have those people, get rid of them. Get rid of them with love because you're not deserving of that. If you are on a mission to grow and to help others and to become the best you and you're just trying so hard, get around people that are going to be a cheerleader, not detrimental. Because I promise you that they exist. I've now found a team and a community that could not be more excited when I win. cheering me on every step of the way. And guess what? I've grown so much more around them than I ever could without. Why? Because the people around us matter. So that is the first thing that might be holding you back. It's the people around you. It's not actually self. It could be, for sure. But it's oftentimes the people that surround us. Are they helping you grow? Or are they okay with you staying stuck and staying small? Number 2, your habits in toxic routines. Friends, listening. Habits that you have formed that are not building you towards the version of you want to become need to change if you want to grow. The thing about habits is that they can change, but we have to do the hard work to pivot them. A lot of bad habits can be, eating junk food late at night, but you're on a goal to lose weight. It could be staying up super late and feeling unrested the next day. It could be drinking every night. It could be, going to places that aren't in alignment. We all have habits. We all have things that we do. But are your habits and your routines building you towards the person you want to become? If you're kind of sitting there feeling stuck and like you're not kind of going closer to where you want to go, you're not excelling forward, I would encourage you to look at what your habits and your routines are. This was something that was super, super helpful for me when I began my personal development journey was, okay, how can I start my day off strong? I'm going to start my day by making my bed, drinking water, brushing my teeth, tending to myself, getting ready, really going through a routine that was helpful for me. And even in the last 2 weeks, I have on my whiteboard in front of me 63 days of morning routine. Why? Because it takes around 63 to 66 days-ish, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter depending, to form a new habit. And so I'm consciously tracking how many days I've been doing that until it's ingrained in my brain to be an unconscious practice. But oftentimes, a lot of our routines are what's holding us back because if we don't have structure, we're always going to feel off the walls. We're going to feel like, what's to come next? Like, what do we do? Which is actually really bad for our body. Our body likes to have some kind of routine and some kind of structure because it means that it can take a break. It doesn't have to think about what's to come next if it already knows. But are those things healthy and helpful, or are they holding you back? I see this all the time on the weekend. It's Friday, it's 4:30, it's 5, whatever, it's the weekend, time to just turn my brain off and start drinking and having funsies. It's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, great. But if you're kind of sitting there on Sundays feeling like crap and wanting to change your life, start by looking at your routine. Start by looking at your habits because I promise you, they are controlling your life. And so bringing awareness to them is definitely a huge first start. Notice what you do. Get to know yourself. What is it that I typically go to? What is it I typically do? How does that make me feel? And kind of evaluate your own self and then set yourself up for success. You get to redesign that, which is kind of the beautiful thing. But that is the second thing that might be holding you back is your habits in toxic routines. The third thing that could be holding you back. Oh, there's a hair in my mouth. There we go. My cat's always like brushing up against my microphone. So every time I talk, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's just mini hairs everywhere. Her name is Minnie, if you're wondering. They're not mini hairs, but anyways, side tangent, as I do. Number 3, false expectations. False expectations. AKA, I'll never be that. I'll never be them. I'll never achieve that. I could never do that. How often do we do that? We don't go for something because we're like, I could never do that. I've noticed myself doing that a lot lately when it comes to writing. My goal one day is to publish books. I want to write personal development books. I want to write mental health related books. But part of my brain goes, I'll never be an author. I'll never be able to do that. Look at all these amazing authors, all these books I have. I'll never be as good as them. And so I don't take action. I'm getting better at this because I've incorporated it into my routine to write every day. However, for a long time, and there's definitely other areas of my life. And by the way, I just want to preface, like, although I'm saying all these things still affect me. I still go through all these, and these are never-ending journeys, but these are like the main things that I thought of that hold us back in general in our life. But false expectations really can do that. We compare ourselves to other people and think, I could never be that. But guess what? That's doing is keeping you stuck. Of course, you could never become that if you're not taking action towards it. People didn't just become famous. right? It's like people don't just become super talented with something. It takes practice. It takes putting in the work. But if you're just sitting there wasting time comparing yourself, you're not going to improve. You're not going to get better because you're spending your time comparing yourself versus putting in the work. So notice how much you're doing that in an area that you might have a dream to excel in. You can likely do it, but you have to be willing to put in the work. It's not just going to fall in your lap. So that is number 3. Number 4 is technology. I wrote this one down because how often does technology get in the way of us growing and holding us back, right? We get stuck in toxic loops, toxic social media groups. This one should really just say mindless time spent on technology. Because technology is amazing. In and of itself is not holding us back. However, how we use it likely is. I noticed myself a couple weeks ago, and oh my gosh, I was like addicted to TikTok. You just can learn so many cool things on there. But I was wasting so much time that I'd be sitting at my desk for an hour scrolling, and I'm like, whoa, I could have recorded 2 podcasts in that time. I could have read in that time. I could have cleaned my house in that time. There's so many things I could have done, and it was holding me back. So I wrote this one down because I think every time I go out and about, and I'm, again, guilty as charged, everyone's just on their phone. What are we doing? Why are we spending so much time on our phones? So much time on TV, really toxifying our brain with so many things that aren't actually doing anything productive. If you're doing things that are productive, amazing. But that's really not the point of this one. Technology can hold us back because we're just doing mindless things. I keep saying mindful. Mindless things that are taking away time that we could be pouring into other areas of our life. So that is number 4. Number 5, your past. Your past pain, past trauma, past experiences, they can hold us back, right? Because there can be a lot of reasons for this. Maybe it's fear of getting hurt. Maybe it's fear of being seen. It's fear of trying and getting let down. It's fear of what other people will think. Trauma can really cause us to put up walls and have protectors because we don't want to get hurt again. I know exactly what it's like to not know where to turn, to feel alone, helpless, and stuck. My goal as a coach is to help clients from a trauma-informed perspective see your worth and develop self-belief so you may chase your dreams and trust your intuition to live the most aligned, fulfilling life possible. If you're looking to elevate your life to the next level but aren't sure where to start, I would absolutely love to connect. If you're feeling pulled or curious, please use the link in the show notes below to book your free call. I look forward to connecting and supporting you on your own unique journey. However, I can definitely say firsthand that it can also be a very empowering thing to slowly work through it. I use my past and my trauma every day when I jump on this microphone. That is often what is driving this vehicle. Because if my past didn't exist, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be so passionate about mental health and about the brain and about teaching you guys all these things without my past. So how can we begin to get to a place slowly over time with the proper care to use it as ignition instead of as an anchor? Because it really will do that. Our traumas will keep us stuck. They'll keep us stagnant. And I know that this can be different for all of us, and we're all at different journeys with healing. But if that's the one thing that comes up all the time that might be holding you back, maybe it's time that we slowly start to do the work so we can take it head on. There's something called exposure therapy where it's basically doing the things that we know we don't want to do slowly so we can re-show our mind that it can be safe to do so. But our traumas really can start to interfere with our life in the present moment, even though it's not happening in the present moment. And so I wanted to throw this one in because I think that's actually one of the biggest ones in all of these. Our trauma can pour into the people we surround ourselves with. That can pour into our habits. That can pour into our routines. That can pour into false expectations of others. That can pour into the technology. It really can stream into all of these ones. So this one in and of itself really is a big thing that can hold us back. But I wanted to put it on here as its own separate point because maybe you don't even realize that for yourself. And so it's getting curious to ask your questions to yourself. If your habits and your routines are what's holding you back, ask yourself why. Maybe it's a protector. Why? Because of pain. Okay, that makes sense. How can I go work on that? So trauma is number 5. that could be holding you back. Number 6 is excuses. Excuses in the form of resources, in the form of time, in the form of money, right? It's like we have all these excuses of why we're not taking action, but all that's doing is keeping us stuck. So many times I'll encourage people to try something and it's like, okay, I'll do it. And then the next time I ask them, they'll say they didn't do it and I'll ask why. And they'll say, well, I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have this. I didn't have the other thing. And then often what happens is we'll start to explore it and they're like, okay, I guess I could have if I would have done it this way. I guess if I didn't do this thing, I would have had more time. I guess if I didn't spend my money on that thing, I could have bought that book, right? It's really priorities, and excuses will run our life. And again, I think it's a protector part when we have excuses, because excuses allow us the opportunity and permission not to take action. However, they will keep us in the same spiraling circle if we don't bring awareness to what they are and ask ourselves if they're actually accurate. Is this excuse actually valid, or is it just, a get out free card? Is this just allowing me another free pass to get out of this thing? We have to be willing to ask ourselves and have those hard conversations. And it can be really uncomfortable when we know that we're the ones getting in our own way. It's really frustrating. However, I wrote this one on here because I do this all the time, especially with fitness. It's like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to. I'll do it later, whatever. And then I often end up doing it and I feel better, but our excuses will run us, right? We don't want to do hard things. We want instant gratification. We want to feel good. We want to feel relaxed. Build that muscle in your brain of grit, of working through things even when you don't want to do it. It will get easier. It will get easier over time, but you have to push through your excuses. And I promise you, you will feel better for pushing through than for not doing it. So that is number 6. Number 7, a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. I have a whole podcast episode just on this concept. A fixed mindset will keep you stuck till the end of time. Because really, what does that mean? A fixed mindset really means this is how I am, this is who I am, this is what it's going to be forever. A growth mindset is, this is kind of how it is right now, but I'm willing to try the things to change this, to have a different trajectory down the road. I'm willing to learn as I go. I'm willing to try. One of them keeps us stuck. One of them allows us to improve by 1%. It allows us to put one foot in front of the other. But if we have that fixed mindset, again, can likely come from trauma, can come from pain. But I always say trauma is an explanation, not an excuse. We can't use it as an excuse our whole life. And listen, I am all about healing and tending and being the most empathetic person when it comes to our past and of pain. But it gets to a certain point where I think we use it as an excuse. And it's like, how can we do the work slowly with compassion while listening to our body, but to push against it a little bit, to challenge ourselves? We all have so much more capability than we give ourselves credit for. I think we all undermined our capacity and our capabilities in life more than we realize. We think that we can only run 5 kilometers, but we can actually run 30. But so what does that mean? We'll stop at the 5 and we'll never try. We'll never show our brain we could actually run the 30. And so we'll constantly just be undermining ourselves. But if, let's say, one day you decided to push against that, aka growth mindset, and you ran 10 kilometers, your mind's already going to be like, whoa, I can do more than I thought, setting a new standard. Now the next time you run under that 10, you're going to be like, I know I could have done more. Raise your bar a little bit. Raise that fixed mindset just slightly towards a growth mindset to just see what happens. I promise you, it is keeping you stuck more than you realize. Be curious, be open to just learning and seeing what happens. If you're listening to my podcast and you tune in, you likely have a growth mindset. Don't allow that fixed mindset to come in and keep you stuck. Number 8 is kind of tying into number 3, which is false expectations, but it's comparing to other people that are ahead of you. We all do this. We look at people that are ahead of us in our own unique field or journey or, area of curiosity, where our passions are. And we're like, I could never be that. I used to do this all the time with podcasters. I'll never be that successful. It's like, do you think that they started off there? No. Everybody starts at a different place. But the one thing that's going to set you apart and get you closer to that is showing up and improving by 1% and growing as you go. The thing is we are not supposed to be somebody else. And if you are embarking on a mission or a journey and that's what you're trying to do, you're trying to mimic someone else, you will constantly feel less than. You will constantly feel behind. It has to come from center first. It has to come from your own unique flavor of something. Yes, I look up to other podcasters and I see what they're doing and I get inspired, but I don't copy anybody else because that's not sustainable and that's not how we win. We all need to bring our uniqueness into what we're doing, and by comparing to other people, it's holding us back because our mind's going, I could never be that, instead of how can I learn from that to become the best me? They're very different things. One of them is very empowering. One of them is very self-deprecating. Stop comparing yourself to other people that are ahead of you and allowing it to pull you back, and instead use it as inspiration, as ambition to keep going and to learn and to get curious, to maximizing your own unique potential. Number 9, 2 left, you guys. Number 9, lack of belief in your abilities. This is like a cycle that I shared with you guys before, where if we have lack in ourselves, we won't take action. If we don't take action, we know we won't get new results. Without new results, we won't get new awareness, and we'll stay in that same cycle. However, if we have even a little bit, even if it's borrowed belief, I like that term, borrowed belief, because even if we don't really have it within, but we can just do one thing, we can start to change our belief in our abilities. There's no way that Jessie 2 years ago was like, yep, I'm going to be doing 110 episodes of my podcast. I'm going to be a top 200 self-improvement podcast. I'm going to be making connections. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be meeting listeners. Never in a million years. Never in a million years. However, the one thing that I had a little bit of belief in is that I knew I wanted to do it and at least try and see what happens. We don't have to know the end destination. I still don't know where this podcast is going to take me, but I have enough belief in my abilities because I've shown up 110 times. But I didn't feel this much belief on day 1. But if you just lack belief in your abilities, you will keep yourself in that same cycle, which is keeping you stuck, which is holding you back. I always say taking a leap of faith. Take a leap of faith towards something that sounds in alignment and just see what happens. Worst thing is you learn. You won't fail, but you'll learn. To me, the word failure just means I learned something. I now know what doesn't work. I now know what isn't the right answer. I now know what I shouldn't do. But it gives us awareness. Viewing it in that way gives us permission to take risks without feeling like crap. Because oftentimes we think everybody's going to be, comparing to us. Everybody will laugh at us if we fail. Everybody will judge us. But it's like, it's not their journey. We get so caught up in what other people will think that we don't take action. Do it for yourself. Believe in yourself enough to just try and see what happens, especially if you're feeling pulled to do something. Number 10, you guys, the last thing that is keeping you stuck and holding you back. I wrote down your damn self. You are the only one responsible for your growth. All these other 9 points that I shared, the one thing in common with all those is yourself. It is myself. It is you listening. We are the ones that are holding ourselves back. We are the ones in control of our decisions. We are the ones in control of what we do for the most part on a daily basis. We are the ones that get to choose how we speak, how we show up, the things that we do, how we do them, how we talk to ourselves, who we surround ourselves with, our habits, our routines. We are the ones in control of all those things. And until we really realize that and let that sit in, nothing will likely change. It's a very empowering feeling to know that I'm the one that can change the trajectory of my life whenever I want to. I'm the one that gets to decide how far I go. Because in reality, I could stop podcasting right now. That is my choice. But it is also my choice to jump on here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon and chat with you guys because I want to. Because it's a part of my mission. It's a part of what I'm on. It's a part of what I'm building. It's a part of what I care about. But it's a choice. We all hold those choices. Are you choosing the hard road or the easy road? Are you choosing the one that's going to get you closer to where you want to go? Or are you stuck in the same cycle? And if you are, that's okay. Find some compassion for yourself. but again, of knowing, like I shared in my last episode, you can stop that train at any time. Stop the wrong trains. Start the right ones. Never lose momentum. That is a quote that NLU shares, Next Level University, the team that I'm on all the time. Stop the wrong trains. Start the right trains. Never lose momentum. It is a beautiful, beautiful mantra that I live by. Never lose momentum. Keep going. Keep trying. Be curious. Notice your choices. Notice how they make you feel. If you make a wrong choice, that's okay. We're human. Pivot and shift and go from there. But I promise you, lovely soul listening, you are the only one that is keeping you stuck and holding you back. And until we embody that and know that that's true and we stop blaming other people, that is when we are free. That is when we can begin to learn and shift into that growth paradigm. So I want to thank you guys so much as always. If you're looking for support with any of these, if you're struggling with any of these 10 things that I shared, I would love to jump on a Zoom call with you. I have a link in the description below for a free 30-minute call where I am here to support you as a coach on all of the above. If you're struggling with these and you're like, I don't know how to get out of it. I feel like I'm in a constant cycle. I don't know what to do next. I would love to see if I can support you on that because again, I know what it's like to live in all these. I still struggle with some of these from time to time, and that's okay. That makes you human. That makes me human. All we can do is pivot and grow from there. So thank you guys so much as always. Happy March. I hope you're all having an amazing, amazing month so far. I look forward to chatting with you all next week. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.